Hello students, and welcome back to this virtual lecture of English literature. In the previous lectures, we started reading The Tempest by William Shakespeare. We read the opening scene of the play, and then we started reading the second scene of Act 1. In the opening scene, we saw that the ship which had Alonso, the King of Naples, his younger brother Sebastian, his son Ferdinand, Antonio and Gonzalo, they were all on the board, and the ship finally was wrecked. So it happened in the opening scene of the play. In the second scene, we come to know that this tempest was not a natural one. It was caused by Prospero. His daughter Miranda, a 15-year-old girl, asked her father why he caused this tempest, why he caused the lives of so many people, why he put the lives of so many people in danger. But Prospero says that not even a single soul, even a single person has died. Then he starts telling why he caused this tempest. Prospero knows some magical powers. He possesses some magical powers. When 12 years ago, he was not, he was not born and brought up here on this solitary island. He was born and brought up in Milan, and he was the Duke of Milan 12 years ago. He was so busy in his studies of science, magic, philosophy and various arts that he did not pay time to his stately matters. As a result, he conferred the management of his dukedom to his younger brother Antonio. Antonio was a very ambitious person. He wanted to possess the entire dukedom. He wanted to be the Duke of Milan. And with the help of the King of Naples, he banished his elder brother Prospero from Milan, set him in a very rugged, a very dilapidated boat along with his 3-year-old daughter Miranda. Finally, they reached here, and here they have been living for 12 years. Prospero was saved with the help of Gonzalo, a very noble courtier in the court of Naples. He provided him with the food, water, clothes and all the necessities that he would require to survive anywhere in the world. With the help of those things, he has been living here. He mastered the art of magic. With the help of this art, he has been ruling this uninhabited island. He tutored his own daughter Miranda. He gave all the wisdom, all the knowledge that he had acquired all his life. He tells Miranda that he is fortunate enough that all the people responsible for his banishment from Milan, by happy chance, they were on the board in that ship, and that's why he has caused this tempest and wrecked the ship so that these people are brought to him. Till here we read in the previous lectures, we ended with the arrival of a servant. Who the servant is? The question that we left in the end in the last lecture was who the servant is who arrives. Approach my Ariel, come enter Ariel. So the servant's name is Ariel. So let's see who Ariel is. Ariel, all hail, great master, grave sir, hail, all hail, everything is well, all well. I come to answer thee, answer thy best pleasure. Whatever you want, I am here to respond to that, to follow the orders. Be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds, to thy strong bidding task, Ariel and all his quality. Ariel says, whatever the things please you. If you want me to fly, I will fly in the air. If you want me to swim, I will swim. If you want me to dive into the fire, I will dive. Ariel actually is the spirit of air. Ariel is not a human being. So this is a supernatural element in the story. There are some more, like the tempest in the beginning, it was caused by Ariel. Ariel, the spirit, says that I am capable of doing anything. I have potentials to do anything. I can fly in the air, swim in the ocean, jump in the fire, to ride on the curled clouds. I can have a ride on the clouds in the sky. To thy strong bidding task, Ariel and all his quality. If you want me to do anything, I will do. Prospero says, hast thou spirit performed to point the tempest that I bade thee? Prospero tells him, Prospero asks him, he asks him the report of the work that was assigned to Ariel. And what was the task assigned to Ariel was to perform a tempest. The tempest we witnessed in the opening scene of the play. Have you performed to point the tempest that I bade thee, that I told you to perform a tempest, to create a tempest and, capture the ship in the tempest. Ariel says to every article, he says that I had done as was commanded. I boarded the king's ship. First of all, he says that he went to the ship of the king. It was, a fleet of ships, many ships were there, and he went particularly to the king's ship. There were some more small ships, those, who were supporting the king's ship, those who were moving with the king's ship. Now on the beak, now in the waist, the deck, in every cabin. So it says that I wandered everywhere on the ship. Now on the beak. Beak is the front part of the ship, which is, pointed to in front and in the back, because of, in this way the ship can steer through the air very easily. Now on the beak, now in the waist is the middle part, now the deck and the upper part, in every cabin. I wondered about every cabin of the ship. I flamed amazement. So he was responsible for the amazement. Whatever he did was amazing thing for the people on the board. Sometime I would divide and burn in many places. On the topmast, the yards and bowsprit, I would divide and burn in many places. He would go to this place, he would, set fire to that place. Then he would go to the other part. The mariners were busy extinguishing fire at this place. He would go to the other place and set it to fire. This way, he kept disturbing them. On the topmast, the yards and bowsprit. Bowsprit is that, pointed part in front of the ship, because of which the ship then, it can steer through the pressure of the winds. Would I flame distinctively, then meet and join. He would set this part to fire, then this part to fire, and that part to fire, and then combine them. This way he destroyed the ship entirely. Would I flame distinctly, then meet and join. Jove's lightnings, the precursors of the dreadful thunderclaps. Now, before comprehending the meaning of this line, we must know who Jove is. In Roman mythology, Jove is the other name of Jupiter, the biggest god, the supreme god in Roman mythology. Jove, Jupiter, he is the supreme god, and his weapon is thunderbolt. See, this is the picture of Jove, Jupiter, the king of gods, and he is the master of thunderbolts. Thunderbolts actually are the precursors of, these are the precursors of Jove's lightning, the precursors of the dreadful thunderclaps. These are the precursors of thunderclaps. Lightning is followed by thunder. The students of science, or all the students you have studied in class 10, that light travels faster than the sound. First we see lightning, then we hear the thundering of the clouds. So that's why the lightning is called, Jove's lightning is called the precursor, the one which arrives earlier, the forerunner which happens earlier. Precursors of the dreadful thunderclaps, more momentary and sight outrunning were not. This lightning is momentary. We cannot catch the sight of these thunderbolts. Once it happens here, the moment we saw there, it happens there, and then there it happens everywhere, but we cannot catch sight of the lightnings. More momentary and sight outrunning were not. The fire and cracks, a sulphurous roaring, the most mighty Neptune. There was fire, there were cracks in the sea, and they were trying to repair. The mariners were trying to repair every damage caused to the ship. Even Neptune, sulphurous roaring, the most mighty Neptune, the roaring, sulphurous roaring. The sea water was roaring, it was shouting, it was crying. And Neptune is the god of sea. Neptune is the god of sea who holds a trident in his hand. Neptune, this is Neptune, the god of sea, and he holds a trident. Trident is in the shape of, Trishul, which has 3 spears at one end of a spear. So this is trident, and he was even Neptune seemed to besiege and make his bold waves tremble. Even Neptune was frightened hearing this thunder and lightning, saying this lightning. He was shivering. The sea was shivering. Neptune was shivering means the sea was shivering. Yeah, his dread trident shake. His dread trident, even the trident of Neptune, it was frightened, it was shaking, it was shivering, it was trembling. So dangerous was the tempest that he caused, that he performed there. Prospero says, my brave spirit, this is the doing of Ariel. He is the brave spirit, who was so firm, so constant that this coil would not infect his reason. He says that the tempest was so dangerous, it was so dreadful, there mustn't have been even a single soul who was not coiled, who was not disturbed, who did not lose his mind, lose his patience, seeing all this destruction all around. Ariel says, not a soul, not even a single person, but felt a fever of the mad and played some tricks of desperation. Felt a fever of the mad and played some tricks of desperation. Everybody were desperate. The people on the ship, they were making desperate actions. We saw in the beginning the bosun and the mariners, they were trying to, save the ship from sinking, and they were, making frantic actions. They were in a haste everywhere. Even the people on the board, they were shouting at them to be patient, but they were desperate to save the ship. All but mariners plunged in the foaming brine and quit the vessel. Everybody jumped into the sea. Everybody jumped into the foaming sea, excluding the mariners. The mariners did not jump. The mariners did not leave the ship because it was a prime duty to save the ship from sinking. They could not. This is their, not only a job, this is a sort of religion for the mariners not to leave the ship until or unless it sinks. They had to live there. Everybody plunged in the foaming brine, in the foaming saline water, and quit the vessel. Then all afire with me. Then the entire ship was burned. The king's son Ferdinand with the hair up staring, then like reeds not hair. Ferdinand, the king of the son of Alonso, the crown prince of Naples, Ferdinand, he jumped and he was looking in the sky through his hair. His hair looked to be reeds. They looked to be, some straw. And he was looking at the sky. Was the first man that lived. And he was the first man to jump into the sea. He cried, hell is empty and all the devils are here. Ferdinand cried that as all the devils are here, fire, lightning, thunder, storm and waves, every devil is here. It means the hell must be empty at this moment. All the devils are here to destroy the ship, to kill all the people on the board. The hell must be empty. Prospero says, why? That's my spirit. All the devils, it's not the doing of the devils from the hell. It is the doing of my spirit, Ariel. Prospero says that this is the doing of my spirit, my Ariel. But was not this nigh shore? Where did it happen? Was the ship far away from the shore? Wasn't it somewhere near the shore? Ariel says, close by, my master. It was not far away. It was close by, not at a very big distance. It was somewhere near the shore. Prospero asks him, but are they, Ariel, safe? He's concerned about the safety of other people. Although they all are his enemies, although all the people on the board were his enemies. Alonso, responsible for his banishment. Antonio, his own brother, his younger brother, who with the help of Alonso banished him and acquired the dukedom of Milan. Only Gonzalo was the person who was a bit helpful for Prospero 12 years ago. But even then, he is concerned about their safety. He didn't want to kill them. He doesn't want to kill his own brother. He doesn't want to kill Alonso, Ferdinand. They are not, responsible for his misfortune. Although Antonio was responsible for everything, even then he doesn't want to kill him. He wants just to teach them lesson. Are they safe? Not a hair perished. Not a hair perished. Ariel says, not a hair perished. Not even a single hair of the people on the board has been damaged. They are completely safe. On their sustaining garments, not a blemish. Not even the garments, not even the clothes they were wearing, there is a blemish, there is a spot. Rather, but fresher than before. Their clothes are now more beautiful, even cleaner than before. Why? Because they have been, on the sea, they have been thrown into the sea, and their clothes, which must have dirt on them, they have been washed. And as thou biddest me, in troops I have dispersed them about the isle. All the people on the board, they have been dispersed. They have been dispersed in groups. He has, formed 3 groups of all the people. They have been dispersed about the isle, about the island, about this island. The king's son have landed by himself. Only Ferdinand is all alone. Ferdinand, the king's son, he is all alone. He is on the whom I left, cooling of the air with sighs. He is all alone, and he is cooling the air with his sighs. He is heaving sighs, cold airs. Why? Because he is very badly sad. He is sad because he thinks that all the people on the board have died. He is the only one who survived. In fact, everybody who has survived is thinking that he is the only one. The people in group, they think that this group only has managed to survive while the others have died. All are thinking in the same manner. Similarly, Ferdinand is thinking that he is the only one who has survived in this shipwreck, and the rest of all have died. His brother has died, his uncle has died, Gonzalo, Antonio, everybody on the ship has died. So that's why he's sad. He's heaving sighs all alone. With sighs, I am in an odd angle of this isle. He is in an odd angle of this isle. At odd angle means completely isolated, completely alone, a lonely angle, a lonely part of this island, and sitting his arms in his sad knot. And he's sitting there, hiding his face in the knot of his arms. He is hiding his face in the knot of his arms. He is so sad. He is so sad that the things seem to have come to an end for him. His father has died. His uncle, as per his thinking, everybody has died. Prospero says, of the king's ship, the mariners say, how thou hast disposed, and all the rest of the fleet. So the ship was moving in the form of a fleet, and only the king's ship has been wrecked. Only the ship on which Alonso was there was wrecked. Rest of the fleet, what happened to that? Rest of the ships which were escorting the king's ship, what happened to them? Prospero wants to know. Ariel says, safely in harbor. The people on the king's ship, they are safe. Everybody in the ship is safe, and they are in harbor is the king's ship. And the king's ship is safe in the harbor where the ships stand. In the deep nook where once thou calledst me up at midnight to fetch dew from the still waxed Bermudez. So the ship is in the deep nook, in a corner where thou calledst me up at midnight to fetch dew. So you remember, the ship is in that corner of the island where you once sent me to Bermudez, that is Bermuda Islands, a group of islands where you sent me one midnight to bring some dew, and still waxed. And those islands, they were still waxed. They were, having strong waves, high waves. There was storm, and even then you sent me to those islands to bring some dew. And Prospero might be, needing that dew for some ritual, for some rite, as he was a practitioner of magic. He might have needed that thing for a certain, practice. But At midnight, he sent Ariel to those Bermuda Islands, and he brought it. So the ship is safely parked, safely kept in that corner of the island. There she is hid, and the ship is hidden there. It is hidden with a magic spell. The mariners all under hatches stowed, they are who with a charm joined to their suffered labor. The mariners all under hatches stowed. The mariners have been placed at the bottom of the board of the ship, who with a charm joined to their suffered labor. Who with a charm is the magic spell here, and joined to their suffered labor. They had been working very hard. They had been working frantically to save the ship at the time of the tempest, at the time of the storm. So they were dead tired. They were badly tired, and with the help of and joining the magic spell on them, Ariel has cast a magic spell on them, and they are fast asleep. I have left them asleep, and for the rest of the fleet, which are dispersed, they all have met again and are upon the Mediterranean float. Rest of the fleet, the ships of the fleet, the other ships of the fleet, they were dispersed, they were separated during the storm, and finally they met once again, and they are upon the Mediterranean float. They are floating on the Mediterranean Sea, bound sadly home for Naples, and they have come together. They have joined each other now, and they are heading back to Naples, and they are very sad because supposing that they saw the king's ship wrecked and his great person perish. They are sad. They are sadly heading towards Naples. Why? Because they have seen king's ship wrecked, and they think that the great person, the king of Naples, has died drowning in the sea. They are going back. Prospero says, Ariel, thy charge exactly is performed. Thy charge exactly is performed. You performed the way you were supposed to. I gave you an assignment, and you executed it in the same way, in the same manner, in the exact manner. But there's more work. What is the time of the day? And there is more work. You have done a good job, but still there is one more task to be done. Tell me the time of the day. What is the time? Past the mid-season. Ariel says past the mid-season means it is afternoon. Mid-season means here noon. Past mid-season means afternoon. Prospero says at least 2 glasses. 2 glasses means at least 2 hours past mid-season. Mid-season means noon, and 2 hours later means it's 2 o'clock. 2 glasses here means, there was a time when there were no clocks at all, no watches at all. People depended upon the sandy hourglass. If you have seen it in your junior classes, what is a sandy hourglass? It is made of, this is of this shape, made of glass, and it has sand. And here is an opening to the other hemisphere. The sand keeps dropping to this one, and the entire sand drops to this part, comes to this part in an hour. So this way, when this part was emptied and the sand came to this part, it means 1 hour was over, and this was then turned upwards down. So this way, the unit of time was the hourglasses then. If an exam was to be conducted for 3 hours, it had to be rotated 2 times. First, second, third, 3 hours. So it means at least 2 glasses. The time betwixt 6 and now must by us both be spent most preciously. He says, Prospero says that this is most important time, and this time has to be used with great precautions, and we have to make maximum use of this time till 6 o'clock. This is 2 o'clock. Till 6 o'clock, the time is very crucial, and they have to make use of every moment till 6 o'clock, because this time is not going to come again. This is the high time that he should perform what he wanted to for last 12 years. Ariel says, is there more toil, since thou dost give me pains? Let me remember thee what thou hast promised. Is there more toil? Ariel had been there on the sea. He had been, he was responsible for the tempest. He had, caused this tempest. He had been working very hard, running here, running there, doing this and doing that, causing fire, setting the ship to fire, causing thunder, causing, sharp winds and waves. So it's a tiresome job even for a spirit. So he was very tired, and that's why he is, shocked to hear that he is still supposed to do some more works. Is there more toil? Since thou dost give me pains, you have been giving me pains for last several hours. Let me remember thee what thou hast promised, which is not yet performed me. I want to remind you something. Remember means I want to remind you something. Something that you promised me and haven't performed yet. Prospero says, how now, Moody? What happened to your mood? What happened? What do you want now? What is it thou canst demand? What do you want from me? Ariel says, my liberty. Ariel is a sort of, slave to Prospero. He has been working for him for last many years. So he has to meet the demands of Prospero. But at the same time, although he is a loyal servant, loyal slave of Prospero, yet he yearns for liberty, freedom. And he had a promise from Prospero that he would free him from his slavery, and but he is not performing it yet. My liberty. He asked for his liberty, but Prospero says, before the time be out, no more. Before the time be out, you want to be free before the time, before the stipulated time. The time hasn't come yet. No more. Do not talk to me about this matter anymore. Ariel says, I pray thee, I request you, remember I had done the worthy service. Remember this thing. I had done the worthy service. I have been your slave, I have been your servant for several years and have been a worthy servant. Whatever you commanded me, I did it, I performed it religiously. Without thinking that I am a slave, I have been doing all my works, I have been meeting all the commands, all the orders religiously. Worthy service, told thee no lies, made thee no mistakings. I have never told you any lies. You told me to do something, I did it. I did not make any mistake at all, served without or grudge or grumblings. I have been serving you without any grudges or grumblings. Thou didst promise to bait me a full year. You told me that you would release me a year earlier. So please see to that and give me my liberty. Free me from your slavery. Prospero says, does thou forget from what a torment I did free thee? Now, Prospero has done something for Ariel and he is taking advantage of that. He is capitalizing upon his doing for Prospero. Prospero reminds him, does thou forget from what a torment I did free thee? He was being tormented by something. Ariel was being tormented for something for a long time, and Prospero released him from those torments. And that's why he is taking advantage of his favor done to Ariel. Ariel says, no. No means I haven't forgotten. I still remember the favor you have done to me. I still remember that. Prospero says, thy dust, you have forgotten. Ariel says, no, I haven't forgotten. You dust, you have forgotten, and thinkest it much to tread the ooze of the salt deep. You think that the torments that you were having several years before, they were better than your free walks on the ooze of the salt deep, sea, the bottom of the sea, which is muddy. You are free to walk on the muddy bottom of the sea, and you think that your captivity was better than this freedom. To run upon the sharp wind of the north, you are free to fly with the winds, and you think that your captivity in the tree was better than this freedom. To do me business in the veins of the earth when it is baked with frost, and you work for me. You go to the, you go under the earth, but whenever I ask you to, and you think that you're going anywhere in the air, in the water, in the earth, and that is worse than your captivity. that you had been facing for several years? Have you forgotten that captivity? Have you forgotten the torments, the torture that you have been having for last 12 years? Have you forgotten that? Ariel says, I do not, sir. I haven't forgotten. I still remember. I still remember that. Prospero says, the liest. You are telling a lie. You are a liar, because I think you have forgotten. That's why you are saying that you are tired and you can't perform anything else, and that's why you are asking for liberty. If you think that you are not free, then it means you were feeling better when you were in the prison, in the captivity. Thou liest, malignant thing, you poisonous thing, hast thou forgot the foul with Sycorax, who with age and envy was drawn into a hoop. You have forgotten the way you were tormented, you were tortured by a foul witch, Sycorax, who with age and envy was drawn into a hoop, who was bent double. Sycorax was very aged witch, and she was bent double because of age and envy. She was jealous of everything. She was angry with anything in the world, any person in the world. There was reason behind that. We will read in this context only. Has the forgotten? Have you forgotten Sycorax, who was responsible for your captivity? Ariel says, no, sir, I haven't forgotten. I still remember. Prospero says, thou hast. You have forgotten. That's why you're saying that you are tired of performing the jobs I assign you. You have forgotten. Where was she born? Speak, tell me. Do you remember? Where was she born? Tell me, where was she born? If you remember. In Algiers. Algiers is Algiers. It is known as Algiers now, the capital of Algeria. Algeria is a North African country. So she was born there. Sycorax, the witch, was born in Algeria, in Algiers, Algeria's capital. She was born there, and oh, was she so? I must once in a month recount what thou hast been. Oh, was she so? Yeah, she was from Algiers. But once in a month, I had to remind you the story of your torments, how you were tormented, tortured by Sycorax, who was born in Algiers. I have to remind you this story every month. You forget it every month. Recount what thou hast been, which thou forgettest, because you forget it every time. You forget, that's why I have to remind you of the tortures. This damned witch Sycorax, for mischiefs manifold and sorceries terrible, to enter human hearing from Algiers. When she was in Algiers, so she performed sorceries, she performed magic on the people, such kind of magics, such kind of witchcraft which we never have heard, She performed such kind of witchcrafts, thou knowest, was banished, and because of those doings, because of those deeds, she was banished from Algiers. And for one thing she did, she must have done something, it is not important here. She did something very foul, something very objectionable, and because of that she was banished from Algiers. For one thing she did, they would not take her life, but due to certain reasons they could not kill her. They did not kill her. They did not take her life. Is not this true? Tell me, Ariel, isn't that true, the story? This is the story that you yourself told me. Prospero was not aware of Sycorax. He was not aware of who Ariel was, how she treated Ariel. Everything that Prospero knows through Ariel only. Is not this true? Ariel says, aye, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly. This is the truth. Prospero says, this blue-eyed hag was hither brought with child, and here was left by the sailors. Blue-eyed hag, this blue-eyed hag, this witch, was hither brought with child, and here was left by the sailors. The sailors, they brought her from Algiers and left her here on this isolated island, uninhabited island. She was with the child. Thou, my slave, you are my slave now, as thou reportest thyself, was then her servant. Ariel, you are my slave now. You yourself have told me that you were her servant then. When Sycorax came here, you were her servant, and for thou wast a spirit too delicate to act her earthy and abhorred commands. Thou wast a spirit too delicate. You were a weak spirit then. Ariel is a very strong spirit. Ariel himself has some, supernatural powers, and these powers are supported by the magical powers of Prospero, because Prospero himself is a master of this magic. You were too delicate then to act her earthy and abhorred commands. The commands, the orders of Sycorax, they were so strong, they were so strict that Ariel could not perform them. Ariel was a delicate, was a weak spirit then. As a result, refusing her grand hastes, Ariel could not perform her orders. He could not perform the tasks assigned to him by Sycorax. As a result, she did confine thee by help of her more potent ministers, and in her most unmitigable rage into a cloven pine. And when she found you a useless creature, although you were a spirit, yet you were not capable of performing the task assigned to you by Sycorax. She found you to be a useless object, useless creature. So with the help of more potent ministers, more powerful ministers, his servants, what did she do? And because of her most unmitigable rage, uncontrollable anger, she was so badly angry with Ariel that with the help of her more powerful ministers, more powerful servants, she into a cloven pine. She confined Ariel in a cloven pine, in a pine which was split from the middle. It was, hollow from the middle, and she confined Ariel in that tree with her witchcraft. She cast a magic spell on Ariel on the tree and let him there. And for how long? Within which rift imprisoned thou didst painfully remain 12 years. Within which rift you were imprisoned in that rift, in that small part of the tree for 12 years. He was captivated inside a tree for 12 years. Within this space, she died. And during this time, after captivating him in a tree, in a pine tree, Sycorax died without releasing him from the confinement. She died. As a result, Ariel was stuck there in that tree for 12 years. And he was freed from that confinement by Prospero when Prospero arrived, and means for last 12 years he is free. Within this space she died and left thee there, where thou didst vent thy groans as fast as mill wheel strike. And you groaned there, you were groaning there, you were crying there, you were heaving sighs there, like the mill wheel strike. Like the mill wheels, they grind. When they grind some grains, they create grinding sounds. Your groaning sounds were as heart-rending as the grinding sound of the wheels. Then was this island, save for the sun that she did litter here, a freckled whelp hag born, not honored with a human shape. So you were left here. Then was this island. This island was completely uninhabited. Only one creature who lived here was the son of Sycorax. For the son that she did litter here, she gave birth to a son here on this island, a freckled whelp hag-born. Hag-born is the son of a witch, freckled, brownish, and he was left here, not honored with the human shape. That child of Sycorax, he was such a creature who did not look like a human being. Means this island was not inhabited by any human soul. A spirit captivated in a tree, and this creature, the name will be given. Her name was, Cannibal, her son. Caliban, her son. Ariel reminds Prospero the name of, he tells him the name of that son of Sycorax. His name is Caliban. Caliban is a creature who doesn't look like a human being. Sometimes he looks like a human and sometimes a devil. So this is Caliban. So Prospero reminds Ariel how he released him, how he ended his tortures, his torments caused by Securix, and that's why he does not expect Ariel to say no to his commands. So here we come to know how Ariel came to be Prospero's slave, the reason behind his being a slave to Prospero, why he is obedient to Prospero. Now we have come to know of one more name, Caliban here. What kind of a creature Caliban is, what duties does he have for Prospero, and how does he behave, how does he react to Prospero's commands. In order to know the answers to these questions, we will meet next time. Till then, goodbye.